live. So welcome to the BuyBotPro deep dive training webinar. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Matt. If you've not seen me before, if you have seen me before, it's probably been in a YouTube video, or you probably heard me in a podcast or something like that. And you have probably seen me in this group as I run these webinars. So welcome to the BuyBotPro training webinar, where basically what we're going to be doing is talking about all things BuyBotPro. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll do my very best to answer them. And what we have today is we have a series of videos, and what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video and we're going to come back and talk about what we've just watched and work our way through like that. So unfortunately, today it might be a bit of a short one because I've only got 4 videos instead of the usual 5. For some reason, my laptop does not want to export the 5th video, so I can't get that uploaded. I've tried and tried and tried. It just doesn't want to do it. So I'll see if I can do it in the background, but unfortunately we might just have the 4 videos for today. But yeah, so any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll do my very best to answer them. Without any further ado, I think we'll get started with our first video. I'll see if I can get the 5th one sorted, but if not, it'll just be the 4th for today. But then yeah, we'll have 5 next time. So let's start the video and I'll catch you in a little bit. Hey, I wanted to share with you a couple of different ways that you can personalize your BuyBotPro. Now, this is such a cool part of the software because it means that you can tailor the deal analyzer to your specific needs, so it shows you the things that you want it to show you whenever you come to do a deal analysis. Or you might feel like it's too busy and you just want to tidy it up a little bit. So the first thing I want to show you is the view. So right now BuyBotPro is on the default view. It sits like this on the Amazon page, but we can stick the panel to the right side of our screen or to the left, depending on our preference, using these little box icons at the top. Now, if you do stick it to the left or right side of your screen, there is a separate scroll for the analysis panel and for the Amazon web page. So you might prefer to do it this way, or you might prefer the default view. You'll also notice that every single section within BuyBotPro has a header, and if you click on this header, it will minimize that specific section. So you might want to do this to tidy up the panel, so that way you're only looking at things in full that you want to see initially when you do a deal analysis, but you might also want the ability to quickly open up a part that you don't often look at just to check certain things, and then you can minimize that. Again, it's completely up to you. Or you might not have any use for a specific section whatsoever in your analysis, so what you need to do is come to the arrow icon at the top where it shows you every single section within BuyBotPro. Now, what you can do with this, let's say you don't have any virtual assistants at this point in time, therefore you won't necessarily need the VA toolbox right now, so you can toggle this off and that section will completely disappear from your BuyBotPro panel. If you do ever want to turn this on again, then simply toggle it on, and you can also change the order in which the different sections appear. So let's say, for example, you want to see the estimated sales before you get the confidence score. So you can move that up, you can just click and drag and move the sections and arrange them in any way that you see fit. Don't forget to click save whenever you do change anything in here, then it will apply those changes. If you move around too much or turn off too much and you're just like, oh, I want to start again, then you can click on this reset button here and it will set everything back to the standard view. So that's an option, and some other things as well. Let's go into our settings and come to personalization. We can toggle on if we want BuyBotPro Ireland to appear. So BuyBotPro Ireland is this box. What it is it's a condensed view of the analysis panel where it's taken some of the key details from it and displayed it in this little box. This is great for a very quick analysis. You might be a very confident seller or very, very confident about a particular product anyway, but you just want that little bit of reassurance, and that's where the Ireland comes in very handy. If you would rather just look in the main panel every single time that you come to do an analysis and you have no need for the island, then you can toggle this off here. You can also toggle on or off if you want the charts to appear as well. So by charts, I mean everything that is down here at the bottom of BuyBotPro. With the new addition of the mini sales charts with the links at the bottom of that section to open them up to view the big form anyway, you might feel like you no longer need the big charts at the bottom of BuyBotPro. So you can toggle them off here. and all of them will disappear. Or if you want some of them there, but you don't necessarily need all of them, you can toggle on or off if you want the bar chart averages table to appear. The same with the table averages and the seller stock and price chart. So you can choose which ones you want at the bottom of BuyBotPro. As well as that, if you scroll up just a little bit in your settings, you can choose different preferences. So for example, if you are primarily an FBA seller, or maybe you only do FBA, you can toggle the fulfillment to FBA. And that means whenever you come into BuyBotPro, it will automatically analyze the FBA way. If you toggle it to merchant fulfilled, if you predominantly do FBM, then the merchant fulfilled toggle will automatically be turned on in the calculator whenever you come to analyze, meaning that right off the bat, you can select any of your preset merchant fulfilled shipping costs or enter in your own and it will analyze the FBM way. Then you have something like the buy price VAT toggle. So if you predominantly do retail where you enter in your buy price including VAT in BuyBotPro, then you can leave it toggled this way to retail. Or if you predominantly do wholesale and you enter in your buy price excluding VAT, you can toggle it to wholesale. So every single time you come into BuyBotPro in the calculator, it will automatically be toggled to wholesale, and straight away you can just enter in your buy price excluding VAT. So those are some little preference options there. And don't forget that if you do change anything within your settings, to come to the bottom and click on save and sync so it can apply those changes. So just to demonstrate, let's say we predominantly do merchant fulfilled, let's save and sync those settings. So whenever we come into BuyBotPro now, it's going to refresh and apply those changes. If we look at the calculator, merchant fulfilled is already toggled on and it allows us to select any of our preset shipping costs or enter in our own. So those are a couple of different ways that you can personalize your BuyBotPro panel and you can potentially tidy things up. Go ahead, try it out and see how you can get BuyBotPro to be much more streamlined to your specific needs. Back to the webinar. So there we go. That was some of the personalization features. And particularly if you're starting out and you are trying to work through and understand everything, it can be a really good idea just to minimize certain bits and pieces of the panel or to turn certain bits off. Just that way it's not so much at the start, or even if you are quite a ways into using BuyBotPro, just being able to tidy it up and get it working exactly in the way that you want it to work for you. So it will just result in a quicker and simpler analysis, and you're looking at the information that you want to look at. You're not just having to scroll through things that you wouldn't usually check. So yeah, being able to minimize things, being able to turn things off is really useful. And if you ever need those things again, it's not like they're lost forever. You can go ahead and turn them back on again. And just being able to set those preferences as well. So if you are an FBM seller primarily, then being able to set it to merchant fulfilled and have it set that way every time you come into BuyBotPro is super useful. It means that you don't have to keep going back and forth into the settings, changing things, or turning on toggles. I need to turn them back off again and back and forth. It just makes life much simpler. And that is part of why BuyBotPro is awesome, being able to tailor it to your needs as a seller. That's what it's all about, helping you. So an update on the 5th video, I think it is working. I think I've uploaded it and I'm going to get it on here and hopefully it works. So we might have 5 videos after all. So assuming that there are no questions, by the way, if you do have a question, please feel free to pop it in the comments. I'll try my very best to answer. Please also click on the link as well, which I think is above me in the description. So that way I can see who it is that is commenting. But yeah, please feel free to ask a question. For now, we are going to move on to the next video of the webinar session. Hopefully I can get the 5th one sorted whilst this video is playing. I'll catch you in a little bit. Hey, so I'm going to talk you through the competition analysis table, which is a great way at getting an insight into your main competitors on any listing that you analyze. So right away, it will show you the top 10 sellers on the listing that you're looking at. The reason why it shows you the top 10 is because these are your main competitors. These are the people that you want to look to try and beat. So it numbers them 1 through to 10, and it will show me what type of seller they are and who they are by hovering over it. And it gives me a color indicator as well. So let's hover over it. We can see that this seller is Inspiration Toys, and if you get grey, that is a merchant fulfilled seller. You have orange for Amazon, green for FBA, and if you see blue, that is for merchant fulfilled Prime. We can choose what type of offers we want to see in this table, so we have it set to all offers right now. But if we're only concerned with Prime, then we can toggle it to Prime only. And that is the blue that I was talking about. So that is a merchant fulfilled prime seller, but let's put it back to all offers. We can also see the price that they are selling the item for. And if you get a bold number like we have at the bottom here, and we hover over this, we can see the price that they are selling the item for and how much they charge for shipping. So we get a breakdown. We can also see how much profit and ROI we would achieve if we were to sell at any of these prices here. So if we sold the item for £39.99, we'd likely make £27.98 profit and achieve an ROI of 233. A new addition to this table is the delivery date. So we can see when the item would be delivered to the customer if they were to purchase from this particular seller. We can get a bit of extra information as well depending on the seller, whereby if we hover over the delivery date, it gives us a range. So it's going to show us the earliest delivery date straight away, but we can hover over this and we can see that there is a range here from April the 14th through to the 17th when the customer may expect to receive that item. We can also see the amount of reviews that that particular seller has had and the positive feedback percentage as well. And these are useful things to know because there are lots of different aspects that go into who gets the buy box, and things like who can offer the earliest delivery date and who has the most positive feedback are things that can get taken into account when it comes to who gets the buy box. So it can be really handy to know to see who might have an edge on winning the buy box. At the bottom here, you get a brief summary, so you can see the total amount of stock that the top 10 sellers have got. So all of the stock levels here are added up. And we can see the total amount of sellers overall on the listings. There's 9 prime sellers and 35 merchant fulfilled. Something really cool and kind of sneaky that you can do with the competition analysis table as well is if you click on any of these sellers' stock levels, so let's click on this one here, it will take me through to that seller's store. So we can see all of the other items that they are selling as well. And the quick look box and manual sourcing accelerator will pop up automatically. So it's ready to analyze straight away. So we get a bit of information about each of the items that they sell right off the bat. So we can see the buy box price for that item, the seller price. We can go ahead and analyze it with BuyBotPro if we wish by clicking on this button here. Let's go back. We can see the BSR for that item. We can also change the marketplace that we view this item in by clicking on a different marketplace at the top. And then we can click on store details to get a bit more insight into this particular seller. So we can see their name, their seller ID, their rating as well, their ASIN count, and the top brands that they sell as well, and the top categories, and how many items are within each of these brands and categories that they are selling. So again, this can be really handy inspiration for other things that we may want to sell. We can even nick a couple of ideas from their store, which is really cool. And obviously we're going to have different aims and targets, but we can go ahead and do an analysis ourselves just to double check that that particular item is going to work out for us. So it can help us reverse source in a way. So let's say we were interested in this first item here. We can go ahead and get some analysis results from BuyBotPro, and then we can go ahead and click on something like the Google link here. So it's going to find this item for us with a quick Google search, so we get a list of stores that we can potentially buy it from, and then obviously we're going to go for the cheapest one, and that has actually helped us with sourcing an item that we can sell ourselves, all thanks to that little feature in the competition analysis table. So don't forget to click on the stock level for that seller, and you can view more details about all of the items that they sell and that seller themselves to get a bit more insight into who exactly you are competing with. That is the competition analysis table. Back to the webinar. So that spy feature is something that you might not have noticed right away about the competition analysis. I always like it when I can introduce people to it and they see it for the first time and like, whoa, I didn't realize that BuyBotPro could do that. And that works really well for reverse sourcing. So where you go ahead and do the analysis first, you find the product, and then you find where it is that you're going to buy the product from. But then that's where things like the Google link, for example, come in really handy. It saves you that bit extra time. So it's going to look for that item on Google for you. It comes up with all of the results. You get all of the stores. And then obviously you're going to go for the cheapest one. And then hopefully you can sell it from there. Obviously, it might be worth doing a little bit of an analysis, even if you do reverse source and, just give it another analysis just to double check. But having that there is really good. It can give you inspiration for products that you might want to sell. Obviously, it's working out for this other seller, so could it also work out for you? They've done some of that work for you, and you can go ahead and get inspiration, be a little bit sneaky, and nick that idea, but don't tell anyone. But that is the competition analysis. It's really useful to be able to see what other sellers are doing on the listing. We can get an understanding of our main competition to help us figure out how it is that we can potentially beat them if we were to join that listing. So we can get an idea of the prices that they're selling the item for. We can see what price we can sell at in order to compete with those other sellers. Things like fulfillment method as well come in to be quite an important factor. So if we are a merchant fulfilled seller and we see something that's heavily dominated by Amazon and FBA sellers who might think, I'll save this item for later, I'll export it to my Google Sheets. If there's more merchant fulfilled sellers in that top 10, then maybe I'll consider joining in the future. But things like that, the competition analysis comes in really, really handy. But not just the competition analysis, it's also worth knowing how much of a chance you stand at winning the buy box. So be aware of your competition, but also be aware of your chances of winning the buy box. And this is what the next video is going to help explain. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to go ahead and play it now. So I'll catch you in a couple of minutes. Talking you through the BuyBox Statistics table, which is such an important feature that lots of sellers use for most of the items that they analyze. In a nutshell, what this is going to tell you is who has had the most possession over the buy box, and in effect it will let you know how much chance you stand at winning the buy box yourself if you were to join this listing. So it's quite an important factor amongst all of the other important factors when you come to do a deal analysis. And in order to trigger the information, what you need to do is select a day range. So you can choose from 30 days, 90 days, 180 or 365. If you do select a day range, you can still change that once it is selected. So let's go ahead and choose 30 for now. And then you get this table up here. So it tells you the name of the seller, how often they have won the buy box, how often they've had possession over it. And then it will indicate to you if they are an FBA seller. So give them a tick if it's either Amazon or if they are an FBA seller, and we'll leave it as blank if they're merchant fulfilled. You can see the reviews that particular seller has had and the positive feedback percentage as well. You can also see when they last won the buy box. So right now in the last 30 days, we can see that Amazon have held it for 98% of the time. And the next seller down, this YB, they're a merchant fulfilled seller, they have won it for 1% of the time, which is not good news for any other seller looking to join this listing at this point in time. So let's go ahead and check out the information for the last 90 days to see if anything is different. So we can see that Amazon have held the buy box 77% of the time. The next one, this YB Limited, have had it for 8% of the time. They're merchant fulfilled. And then Deal Corner, they're an FBA seller. They've had it for 4% of the time. Let's see, Amazon have had it for a good chunk of time. The last time that a seller had won it was 29 days ago, and before that it was 2 months, then 3 months. And so this is not looking good right now if we were considering joining this listing, because we can see that Amazon heavily dominate this particular item. So this could be cause to not go ahead with this item right now. We could add it to our Google Sheets so we can save the item for a later date and reassess it to see if Amazon do share that buy box a little bit more in the future, so we can come back to it and hopefully join the listing then. But right now we can see that Amazon tower over everyone else that is on this particular listing. So it's a really important part of our decision-making process. But if we saw something in this table where we can see that the buy box is shared out fairly evenly between all kinds of sellers, then that is good news. If we are an FBA seller and we can see that it's predominantly a handful of FBA sellers that are winning the buy box, then that is good news for us. We can join that and hopefully join in their success as well and get an equal allocation of the buy box too. So again, it's such an important factor to consider before we go ahead and purchase an item. If we go ahead and buy an item without information like this, we might be wondering, well, why is it not selling? Why is it not moving anywhere? Oh, and you realize too late, Amazon have had the most possession over the buy box. But this is something that can be easily avoided by checking something like the BuyBox Statistics table. So go ahead and give it a try if you haven't used it already. Select a day range, view the table, see how well you might fare if you were to join the listing. And back to the webinar. So that was the BuyBox Statistics table, and like many things in BuyBotPro, that came from you guys' suggestions. Obviously, it's your deal analyzer. It's something that you're going to be using every day. So it's really useful to have your suggestions and to be able to implement those things into BuyBotPro and make them a reality. And the BuyBox Statistics is super, super, super useful. I mean, imagine not having anything like that, and then you go ahead, purchase stock, you join the listing, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, where are my sales? And then you keep seeing that, oh, Amazon have dominated the buy box, or oh, this particular seller keeps getting it. So it's just BuyBotPro doing its job. So not only is it going to be helping you find good deals that are going to work out for you, it's preventing you from bad buys and preventing you from potentially buying stock and being stuck with it, because you do not want that. So the BuyBox Statistics is really, really useful, helps give an indication as to how well you may perform on the listing if you were to join it. So I'm assuming there are no questions. Don't forget, if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments. If you hit the link that is above me in the description, I'll be able to see who it is that is commenting. So this could potentially be our last video. So I'm not 100% sure. If the fifth one is going to work, we'll give it a try after this. If not, it might be a slightly short webinar. But that fifth video, I'll make sure that it is working okay for next time. So don't worry, we will. It was basically going to be about reading charts. So hopefully it works. If not, we will have it next time. But for now, we're going to be taking a look at the estimated sales calculator. Here's the video, and I'll catch you in a little bit. So I'm going to be talking you through the estimated sales calculator, which is a great way of understanding how well an item is selling on Amazon and can help you with other assessments that you make, such as your purchase quantity decision. So on the left here, we have the previous 90-day average sales for the item, so we can see how well it's done previously. In the middle, we have the current sales for the item based on the last 30 days. And if we hover over this, we get a breakdown table showing us the monthly sales for the item over the last 12 months. Now, this can help us look for consistency, can help us look for trends, but ultimately it looks like this item has done really well every single month of the year. Obviously, April isn't complete yet, so it doesn't have the full amount of data for April. But for all of the other months, it seems to stay in the same kind of range. It looks to do a little bit better from August through till around November, December time. So if we did want to choose a particular time in the year to sell this item, you'd probably want to look to buy it in the summer months, then sell it in the period between August and December. You'll likely get more sales in that period of time, but ultimately it looks to sell well all year round, so you could sell it all year round if you want to. It could be one of those types of products. And then using this information combined with several inbuilt algorithms and data that we purchase for you from sources like Keeper, BuyBotPro is then able to predict the 90-day average sales for the item. So this is an accurate estimate, and if anything, it underestimates this number slightly, which is a good thing. It's honest, and the quantity decision that you make based on this data and everything else that you see in BuyBotPro, you're more likely to sell that amount. You'll have things with other deal analyzers where they overestimate this number, and then the amount that you buy, you end up stuck with stock and not selling as much as you thought you would based on that information. Whereas with something like this, where it's slightly underestimated, you're more likely to sell that amount, and if anything, you'll have occasions where you sell more than you think you would. So you sell out, and then you have to buy more stock to then sell that too. So that is a very good thing to have it this way. The estimated sales calculator is a great resource, and you can use this to help you judge the suggested purchase quantity that you get in BuyBotPro. So you can either go ahead with that suggestion amount, or you can use this suggestion as a starting point to then figure out your own amount, but it will probably be somewhere around this area based on everything else that you see in BuyBotPro. The choice is completely yours, but the estimated sales calculator is an excellent feature that is there to help you. Back to the webinar. So that was the estimated sales calculator. It's really useful to be able to gauge how well the item is selling overall. You know, you get the past information, you get the information for what's going on currently, you get predicted information as well, and then you get a breakdown of how well it's been selling over the last 12 months. So like I said in the video, it can help you sort of like judge any trends. It can help you see if it consistently sells well all year round. Hello, I can't see who that is exactly. If you click on the link in the description, it might let me see who that is, but hello. But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great to have a mixture of items that consistently sell well throughout the entire year and seasonal items as well. So having a consistent item means that you'll always have that income coming in consistently. And then where you have seasonal items, it can give you some nice uphills every quarter. If those seasonal ones don't quite work out for whatever reason, if that is the case, then you've always got those consistent items to rely upon. They'll be there to help you out, but those seasonal ones are there to give you nice bumps in your business. Now, I think the fifth video is going to work. I hope it does. I'm not 100% sure if it will. So we're going to try it out. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I will see what is up with it and we'll use it next time in the next webinar. But hopefully it works. So this is potentially the working last video, I hope. Let's give it a try and I might see you in either a moment or in a few minutes. Let's see if it works. Video, I'm going to be teaching you how to read the main sales chart in BuyBotPro. Now, this is such a powerful tool to have at your disposal when you do a deal analysis, once you know how to use it. Understandably, you might have just gotten the software and you're looking at all of the lines and thinking, what even is this? But that's what I'm going to help you understand today. So in a nutshell, the main sales chart is a great way to get a visual representation of lots of different types of information and view how the item has performed historically over the time period that we're looking at. So right now we're looking at the last 90 days, but we can change that to the last 7 days, 30 days, 180, 365, or for all time. So since the item was first ever listed on Amazon. And as we change the day range on here, it will change it for the other charts below. So this can help us see things like buy box possession, price fluctuations, BSR trends, and so much more. And that might be a lot right now, but you can break this chart down. So you've got all of the different colors on here and they work in correspondence to the key on the side. So you have the purple line for the FBA price, the orange line for Amazon, and where you've got the block orange color underneath that, that means that Amazon have been in stock. We can see the blue line for the lowest new price, the blue squares are for the FBM price. The pink line is for the buy box price, the green line is for the BSR. The sales heat map toggle is here, so this is this bar down below, but we don't need to worry about that right now. But we'll come to that a little bit later on. And then you have the break-even line, which is the turquoise one. Now, in order to get that toggle to appear, in order to get the break-even line on the chart, we need to make sure that we have entered in a buy price and sell price into BuyBotPro and analyzed. Otherwise, it's not going to work out a break-even for us and it has nothing to put on this chart. So once it's worked out the break even, it's going to put that on the chart for us as an additional piece of information. So let's break this down even further to understand what we can read from this chart. So you might not want to see all of this information all at once at the same time. So let's toggle off some of these lines. Let's toggle off the lowest new price for now. We might be an FBA seller and we're not concerned with FBM, so we can turn that off. We can look at BSR in a little bit. So right now we're left with the buy box price, the Amazon price, and the FBA price. So in terms of buy box possession, for example, we can see that the pink line often lines up with the orange Amazon line. And if we hover over any of these points, we get a little breakdown box like this. So it shows us everything that was going on with the item at that particular point in time. So we can see in here as well that the Amazon price lines up with the buy box price. So they have held the buy box at that particular moment in time. And we can see that this is the case for a lot of what we scroll over. So we can see that Amazon do have a good hold over the buy box on this listing. And obviously there's lots of reasons for why one might win the buy box, but a common reason for it could be because they've set the lowest new price on the item, therefore it's the most competitive. So let's toggle on the lowest new price, and yet we can see that Amazon have set the lowest new price at several points in time. And that is likely why they have won the buy box. So it lets us know in order to stand a competitive chance, we might want to be looking somewhere around the price that Amazon have set it to in order to stand a good chance at competing with them. Let's take a look at a different set of information now. So let's take a look at the BSR. So the BSR is this green line, and BSR stands for bestseller rank. So this is Amazon's ranking system for every item on their platform. So within every category, you'll have X amount of items. Now let's say there are 100,000 items within a category. The item at number 100,000 is going to be performing the worst. It's not very popular. No one's really buying it. The item at number 1 is the most popular. It's the hottest seller. Lots of people are buying it. And so the closer to 1 you are, the better. So what you want from this line is for it to be as close to the bottom of the chart as possible, because that means a number closer to 1, a better BSR number. And you want lots of movement on it, like we have here. So lots of movement equals lots of sells. For every little bit of movement on this line, even the teentiest little squiggle, that means there's been at least one sell for the item. It could be more than one, but there's been at least one. And there's obviously other things that we can look at in BuyBotPro to reaffirm how many sells this item has potentially had. So we can see that there's lots of movement on this line. It does spend a good amount of time close to the bottom of the chart with a good BSR. But let's say there is 100,000 items within a category. Let's come to the highest point. So the worst this item ever did in the last 90 days BSR wise is it was at number 461. And you know what? That is still very, very, very good. That is a lot closer to 1 than it is 100,000. It is so far away from 100,000. So if we saw a BSR like this, it's nothing to worry about. It's still a good BSR. And we can see from the BSR line here that even when it does go to a not so great BSR, it's there for hardly any time at all before it shoots back up to being a good BSR. Every time it seems to drop a little bit, it does move back up very, very quickly. So that is really reassuring, because we know if we were to join this listing and if the BSR does fall, it won't be long at all before it quickly shoots back up to being a better BSR, and it will continue to do that. We can also use the sales heat map below to help us judge how well the item has been selling. So this works the same as the temperature on a weather forecast, so the redder the better. Now, where you see red, that means the item has been selling really well, it's been really popular. So this does line up with the consistently good BSR that the item has had for this period of time, and here as well, and also just here. And we can see where it did drop, so it goes a bit more orangey. Now where you get an orange color, this is where the item hasn't been doing as well as it usually does. It's selling okay, it's moderately popular. And if we were to see something like yellow or white, the item is not doing so well. It's not selling very much. And if we did see a dark red patch on this sales heat map, then that is a period of really, really intense sales. And that will probably be reflected in the BSR line, where there's loads and loads of movement in a short space of time, really, really close together. So there's been lots going on with the item at that period in time. But we can see over the last 90 days that is consistently red for most of the time. So we know that it does remain a top seller, it's popular, it sells. And if we look at this information over a different period of time, we can get a better insight into trends, and it can help us judge when we may want to go ahead with buying this item. So it could be a seasonal item. Let's take a look at 365 days. So over the course of a year, let's tie this up again a little bit. So let's just view the BSR, for example. So we can see from about May through to July, the item does drop. So we've got a big period of orange there. But then when it comes back to August and all the way through till around December, and then again here from February through to April, and then judging by last year, it looks like in May, that is the last point when it is consistently popular, when it is selling well. It looks to be doing really well in these periods here. So it's probably a good item for Christmas, for winter, and just in this period of the year here. So we may want to consider buying it at the time when it isn't doing so hot, to then sell it in the points when it is doing really well. So it may be cheaper in these periods as well. It might be going on sale because people know that they're not going to be able to shift it. So we might be able to buy it from the store at a cheaper price. And then obviously sell it in the month when it is a lot more popular, and you'll probably sell it for a higher price as well. So that is good news. But overall, the vast majority of the time on the sales heat map, it's showing us red. So it does do consistently well. If we look at the BSR, 2,382, again, in the grand scheme of things, if there is 100,000 items within a category, that is still a good BSR. So even when it does drop, it is still good for this particular item. So there are lots of different things that we can read from this chart, and hopefully this has gone a long way to helping you understand some of the things that you can read from this main sales chart. Go ahead, give it a go. If you need to see a period of time in a lot more detail, you can click and drag and it will zoom into it, so you can get an in-depth view into what exactly was going on at the period of time that you want to look at, and you can reset that as well by clicking this button here. Ultimately, it's a really powerful feature. Go ahead and give it a try, and back to the webinar. I am so glad that the last video worked. That was the longest one that I had recorded. So yeah, I'm really happy now. So yeah, that was reading the main sales charts. As I mentioned in the video, there is so much that you can get from them. And just, I mean, some of these things you can also see in the BuyBotPro panel, but being able to visually grasp that information can be much more useful if you are that kind of learner, I suppose. If you prefer to see things that way, then the sales charts are for you. And there's just lots that you can, there's loads that you can get from it. It's unreal. Yeah, the break-even line is the newest addition to it, and in order to trigger that, you need to make sure that you've entered in a buy price and a sell price. Otherwise, you get no break-even, and then it's got nothing to show on the chart. So if you want that break-even line, enter in a buy price and a sell price and analyze. So that brings me to the end of this deep dive training webinar. Thank you to everyone that has joined me today. I'm really glad again that that last video worked. I'm probably going to scream after this live session in pure happiness. But yes, that was the BuyBotPro training webinar. Hopefully there was something new there that you learned, or maybe it was all new to you. If you need any further help, don't forget you can reach out to the wonderful support team 24/7 at info@buybotpro.com, and they'll try their very best to help you with whatever it is that you need help with. Besides that, there are the YouTube videos, there's TikToks, check the Facebook group. There's always tip posts and things going in there now to help you with all kinds of things. Other than that, you will see me this time next month. I think once a month we have these webinars, so you'll see me again in a month's time. If you have Profit Protector Pro, then you'll see me in 2 weeks doing one of these webinars. So if there aren't any other questions, we'll wrap up there, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Cheerio.